Hey YouTube!
Hey YouTubers!
That's MJ, I'm Mark, and we're going to talk to you guys about what you clicked on to listen to today. Obviously you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, you know exactly what we're going to be talking about. Anyway, we've actually tried to do this before. We've actually done a video about this, basically the same topic in the last arc of Dragon Ball Super, which was the Future Trunks arc, the Goku Black arc, whatever you want to call it. We are going to be talking about whether or not Super is now writing itself into a major corner in order to actually tell any future stories for the series proper. And honestly, I'm kind of thinking that it did. Honestly, we've already looked at so many different things going into this particular arc and the last couple arcs of Dragon Ball Super that in terms of pre-existing information, pre-existing content that Dragon Ball had to work with going into this entire series, they've eaten a lot of it up. And I'm talking about basically time travel, fusion, god rituals or rituals in general, new transformations, brand new techniques, and the plethora of other things that they've also done. Plus, they're basically using this whole, I guess, omniversal tournament, the Tournament of Power, whatever you want to call it, that as a way to basically introduce us to all the other universes at once and also introduce us to some of the, if not the strongest people in a majority of those universes in one particular arc for one particular fight that we're going to see, let alone whether that's actually a 10-episode arc of fighting just constantly or maybe 20, let alone anyone actually interrupting the tournament. They're introducing a lot of the stuff that they've already pre-introduced or the pre-existing context they've already used in this particular series, and I'm wondering, where are they going to go? What can they possibly do next in order to keep this series going in such a unique way that keeps people interested? So with all that being said, I want MJ to basically share his thoughts. Do you think that they're introducing way too much into this series? Do you think that they're actually just, I guess, are they burning through the material that they have and not necessarily introducing anything else that they could actually do? What are your thoughts?
Let me tell you how it's gonna go. Villain comes in. A Kamehameha, call it a day. No, I'm just kidding. But I could see, future arcs probably going that route. Villain comes in, Kamehameha, and that would be the end of the arc.
Fucking drinking.
Yeah, they have introduced a lot, especially in the Goku Black arc, because you ask yourself, okay, right now we're in this omniversal tournament, this multiversal tournament, the Tournament of Power, whatever you want to call it, right? We're in this huge tournament, which is going to showcase the majority of the universes. 4 are exempt, so I can assume those 4 aren't going to bring, their strongest. There's no reason for them to. It's just going to be the gods, So we won't be introduced to those 4 universes, like the actual people who in the universe. We'll be introduced to the gods, but not the mortals, right? If that's the case, right, if this tournament isn't the end, because remember, Super's making a ton of money, guys. I don't care if you fucking hate it. It's making tons of money. Dragon Ball as a whole is making tons of money. It's making more money than all of YouTube combined. I'm just kidding. But anyways, the point is, they're not going to end anytime soon, right? So you ask yourself, okay, they're doing this tournament. What are they going to do afterwards? Like, are we going to go to Universe 12? Are we going to go to Universe 5? Are we going to go to one of those exempt universes or is one of those universes going to hop into Universe 7, you know what I mean? But the thing, it's like, we already did that. We already did universe hopping, and the Future Trunks arc, and we already did evil gods in the Future Trunks arc, you know what I mean? We already did possession in the Future Trunks arc, or not so much possession, but the idea of it, taking over someone's body. So it's like, they've really done a lot in the Future Trunks arc, and now you have this huge tournament where everything is just gonna like implode. You're gonna have all like these strong fighters and these strong characters, and they're just gonna go at it in this huge tournament. And it really does bring up the question, where are they gonna go? I'm not too sure what else they could really do. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. If they wanted to bring something up that we have not seen yet, like actually visually seen, we've heard about it, but if they wanted to bring something new that has not really been touched before, it would still be on the same concept of an evil god, but not so much of a good god turning evil, more of a evil entity in itself, and that is, of course, the demon realm. You know what I mean? if they wanted to go that route, we could probably go there. I think that would be kind of cool for them to like touch up on that, especially since we're in this whole deity and Super's really done a good job of like, I guess, advancing the lore of, you know, of Super and the hierarchy and all that, of Dragon Ball and the hierarchy and all that. So I think it would be kind of cool for them to approach that instead of rising the ranks. Why don't we go to the lowest of the low, where all the scumbags and all the douchebags are? See what's crawling around there. You know what I mean? See what this actual demon realm is. See where, you know, Dabra was actually living at. You know what I mean? I think that would be kind of a cool place to go to, because we already did the universe hopping, we already did all that. So how about we do dimension hopping, you know? How about we do realm hopping? Let's do something like that. I think that'd be kind of cool.
But, you know, it's weird. I would actually, I somewhat agree with that in terms of just the blanket theory when it comes to how does Super approach the next couple arcs. And, you know, like one thing that we've talked about on this channel a couple times, and I know a lot of other people have been talking about this, is what exactly are the Super Dragon Balls for this particular arc? I mean, they've been introduced, they've been shown for, you know, the last couple arcs of Dragon Ball Super ever since the tournament between Universe 6 and Universe 7. And we know that these things can do anything and everything that they can set their mind to. Anything that you want, it can possibly do. And you know, the weird thing about that is we've seen them do nothing that the other Dragon Balls couldn't have easily done. Immortality, you know, just wishing back a planet. We've seen the other Dragon Balls, you know, Earth and Namekian, both do that, or people who have wanted that particular wish that would have had that happen. And we're wondering, like, okay, what are the Super Dragon Balls going to be used for? And just kind of taking a step away from what Dragon Ball Super is basically predicated on was that line with Beerus in Dragon Ball, you know, the Battle of Gods movie. Is like, you know, there are people in other universes. This is Universe 7. There's people stronger than us, and maybe you'll meet them one day, maybe not. And everyone's like, oh my god, more movies, but actually a series and all that other stuff. And I think and I feel like that is something that we wanted from this series, and we haven't necessarily gotten to its full extent. But you're right when you say that, like, yeah, we've already seen this happen. And it's not that we already haven't seen, like, yeah, we've seen universe hopping a little bit, but the problem is they introduce it in such a grand scale. And bringing in, like, what you were saying earlier with the Demon Realm, we've seen the Dragon Balls be used, the Super Dragon Balls be used, but in such a small scale. We haven't seen them be used in a grand scale. So just going off of what you're saying, I agree. And probably, like, my pitch on what you were saying is what they need to do, instead of wishing back all the other universes that basically, I guess, you know, for one reason or another get destroyed during this potential tournament, Zeno has his way, destroys all these universes, and then, like a lot of people have suggested thus far, the Super Dragon Balls are used to wish back everyone back to life and put them on Universe 7. And so you have so in that way, in an instant, you have a sprawling universe that you can explore, and potentially even more of a diverse demon realm or Kai realm or something, you know, all this other stuff in that particular universe. So you don't necessarily have to universe hop, but there's always that option, because those other 4 universes, you know, universes 5, 8, 1, and 12 are still alive. So I feel like that would probably be a really cool way to kind of bring it into, I guess, on harmony with itself, both with its previous promises with the original movie that basically introduced this concept, and basically what they can do without having to go into a completely huge new, like, exacerbated scale of where they're going and what they're doing and who they're talking to at any given point. And honestly, without that, though, I mean, in terms of what we've seen, and I think that's what my main gripe here is we've seen all this stuff. We haven't necessarily seen the impact or actually explored any issue here fully. You know, we don't necessarily know exactly, we haven't seen the extent of which time travel could work or affect things. We haven't necessarily seen the extent that universe hopping and dealing and fighting with other universes or gods of other universes or any of that stuff has basically what it could happen or what that could look like. But we've seen it done in such a huge, unforgiving way that it basically writes over the possibility of ever doing it again when Zamasu comes in and basically kills, or at least they say they kill, all the other gods of destruction by killing all the other Kaioshin from all the other universes. When you already put that on the table without showing it, then what's the point of doing it again when you know it just happened, but just off screen? And that's one of the big issues with this series. And it makes me wonder every single time, well, what's next? And that's the problem with this particular arc. In the last video that we actually did together was, back then, when the Future Trunks arc, we were saying, well, all these concepts, what could they possibly do next? And the answer was, you know, push come to shove, if they don't have any more ideas, is do the Tournament of Power, because that is a unique thing that we've never seen done before. And it's not like what they've introduced is beyond what anybody in our particular fandom ever thought to even believe was possible with this whole battle royale concept. It's going to be an epic fight, but at the same time, they're still just pushing themselves into that inevitable corner that we saw months and months ago, and I think that's a big issue.
I was actually just thinking about this while you were talking. Yeah, I was ignoring everything you were saying. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but I was just thinking about this. If they really wanted to, like, 'cause when I proposed the idea of them, like, you know, the demon realm and all that, and I guess like 4, 5, 12, 8, you know, those universes. I mean, obviously, if Goku wishes back the, you know, the universes that were destroyed, that means Hit would come back, you know, all those guys. So Goku would then have, like, another rival. So you can still continue stuff, I guess, with, like, Hit and Goku, or you can do, I guess, like, an actual, not like a filler arc, but an actual, like, Hit arc, you know what I mean, where, like, an assassination arc or whatever. I guess you could do stuff like that, but I was gonna say, I was just noticing this. So Jiren is supposed to be, like, incredibly powerful, right? And then, like, Toppo was a candidate for the God of Destruction, right? Yet Champa, Vados, Whis, and Beers didn't even know who Toppo was. And, like, I mean, I remember that scene, like, vividly, you know, Toppo blocks one of those attacks, and, like, you know, the, like, Champa, like, who is that guy? And then they didn't really even seem to know who he was. Like, they had to wait for him to introduce himself when he was doing the whole dabbing, like, on the Pride Troopers, on the Pride Trooper later, bitch, you know, when he was doing that stuff. It's kind of funny to me because you remember Whis was like, oh yeah, the Grand Priest is one of the top 5 battle powers in, you know, all of existence. So that kind of means that Toppo is not even in that list then, right? It seems like. And people have always wondered, like, does Zeno count as part of that? Because isn't Zeno not a fighter? Or like what exactly are his powers? Like, does he just think of something and that's what does he not even have a battle power, you know what I mean? Does he just think of stuff and that's how he destroys it? Like, what is, and then, like, is the angels, like, are they considered a part of that, or is it just, like, immortal, you know what I mean? So that's actually something that I think they could actually touch up on, is that little line that was mentioned in the Future Trunks arc, actually give this series a bit of continuity there, you know, actually introduce some mega bad fighter that, even though it may be like an ass pull like Majin Buu, oh, where'd this guy come from? Well, he was hinted at, you know, a few arcs ago, you know, he's like one of these top 5 battle powers, you know. That could be somewhere I guess they could possibly go, but it's like, well, then where is he now? Like, what universe is he a part of? Where are these other strong fighters, you know, that are supposed to be, like, second to none, you know?
And, like, jumping off that, I mean, just in terms of, and look, all this conversation between MJ and I is just nothing to say that Dragon Ball Super hasn't, bits and pieces throughout its entire run, basically given us little hints on entire story arcs that we can basically delve into any way, shape, or form throughout the upcoming, I guess, just plethora of story that they could give us, you know, decade worth of material, you know, just in terms of what they've introduced. But at the same time, like, in my opinion, it does feel like they are kind of writing themselves into a corner. That isn't to say that, look, there's a lot of story potential with what happened to the other 6 universes. How did that affect everything? Basically, Zeno, like, can destroy everything. Or the manga basically saying that there was another time traveler. The first time traveler was from a completely different universe, and not necessarily Trunks. What's going on with that guy? Like, explain more about the time rings. Explain more about basically taking on gods or god hierarchy. There's so much story potential for us to kind of grasp and go along with. But at the same time, you run yourself into a corner every single time when you deal with Goku and Vegeta basically, you know, basically headstrong forerunning into this entire arc and this entire series. Every single decision they make is going to be unilaterally connected to everything that happens before or after any of these things. And honestly, look, that was never how Dragon Ball was. I don't really care how anyone says. Like, Dragon Ball, Goku's decisions unilaterally did not necessarily indicate anyone's other goals. Goku ran into other people in Dragon Ball who were also after the same things he wanted to happen. He wanted, and that got him into trouble until basically, fighting Piccolo Daimao and then Piccolo Jr. in the last couple arcs, which really culminated into the end of the story. Similarly with Dragon Ball Z, Goku was basically the he was the reason people were basically coming after him in terms of Raditz and Nappa and Vegeta, but because of everyone else's actions in there, Frieza basically took it upon himself to go to Namek before that, and then basically Cell and all that other stuff, and then the series just kind of started getting a little bit, I guess, long in the hair or short in the hair. I don't know the saying, but the point is Dragon Ball Super has been predicated at this point off of Goku and Vegeta's actions. I know the whole Beerus thing at the beginning of the tournament or the beginning of the series had nothing to do with Goku and Vegeta, and maybe even Frieza can be said to have nothing to do with Goku and Vegeta, but they definitely were the drawing point. And then, this tournament and the last tournament, definitely Goku's actions or Goku's wants and abilities and stuff, and then Trunks' actions were the thing that drew in the last arc. So I mean, I want to see something besides something that Goku, Vegeta, or someone else that we know actually have an issue or some kind of a drawing point to create a story. If something that Beerus did way before he actually met Goku and Vegeta actually created an arc of Dragon Ball Super, an issue that they had to solve, would be interesting. If creating like Zeno destroying all the other 6 universes, creating an issue that Goku and Vegeta had to solve, would be interesting, because it wouldn't be necessarily their burden, but because they're the characters in our story and everything, they would be put at the center of something that was beyond their control and beyond their decisions in the first place. And I think that would be something that would be really interesting, but I just haven't necessarily seen that from Dragon Ball Super up until this point.
Yeah, I think the whole universe is being destroyed. That's a kind of like, what's that? That's like the pot of gold in the what's the saying? Like a needle in a haystack. Yeah, I mean, like whatever the fucking saying it is. It's like that's a story that's just like waiting for them, like just to grab and just start make a fucking arc out of it. You know what I mean? Like they could do so much with that. It's like, why did Zeno destroy? You know, why did he get annoyed? Like, was there a particular reason? What was the reason for the angels being destroyed? Since it seems like the Grand Priest loves his kids. Yeah. You know, it's like there's just so much to go off on there. Oh my God, Super, please do it, man. But yeah.
Yeah, but okay, guys, with that said, I think like we basically said our piece on this. Personally, I feel like, just my opinion, I feel like Dragon Ball Super has reintroduced concepts and everything. It's basically used everything that it could possibly do in any way, shape, or form that's effective. And not to say that anything that it's done already it can't redo, but I'm wondering just how effective it's going to be the second time around when you're like, okay, well, we've seen this. So please make sure to leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Like I always say, please make sure to go see MJ's channel, because guys makes awesome content, make you have ear orgasms. Yeah, that's right. I took your thing. Anyway, guys. Okay, guys, we're going to catch you on the next video. Bye.